How's your warp drive going, nerd?
How's your ship with no actual shields, just defense screens? Fucking knob end.
My ship is just simply faster and cooler than yours.
Cooler than me? I think we need to debate this shit, because I know for a fact that because this is a Star Trek YouTube channel, that Star Trek is the better of the two. I will meet you at our normal debating point.
First planet, right now, let's go. Let's do this. I'll be there in a little while.
Number one, you're on, and number two, are you drunk? Because the way you're talking sounds drunk. Should you be flying a starship while you're drunk? Okay, I'll meet you there, I'll just beam over.
There's no Darbo girls on this ship.
We both know that you are the Darbo girl. I am ready to kick some ass here on Trek Trap. Ribbit will be here shortly, of course. He doesn't have the benefit of transporters because we all know that Star Trek is the better science fiction show. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's begin with our introduction. I have been a long time Star Trek fan since I was 5 years old, and I have loved every bit. I have a whole Star Trek show where I just talk nonsense about Star Trek. Whereas Ribbit likes to pretend he can talk about Star Trek, but really all he does is fall asleep to episodes because he's really creepy. That's why he sucks. That's why we're still waiting for him to actually arrive. He's taking forever. Basically, I wanted to have this debate. You're going to decide on this debate who wins this. Either that or the Ducks, of which aren't here yet either, but that is because they are Ducks. They're coming back from, in Australia, north for winter. I don't fucking know. So, basically, we're going to have 5 questions. I'm going to argue my piece, he's going to argue his piece, and then we will decide, you will decide in the comments who wins. If this doesn't work, then fuck it, we'll never do it again. But I'm hoping that the arguments here are strong, because I'm an actual fan of Star Trek, and he's a piece of shit. Thank you for watching, and let's get it. Oh, look!
I brought ducks.
Oh, yeah, because they really wanted to travel slowly on the Millennium Falcon.
You know what? Yeah. It's safer. It's just safer going like
safe. It breaks down and you have to hit things.
You know what?
To get
We don't end up with fucking.
Well,
we don't end up with bloody transporter clones, do we?
But then you get 2 William Rikers for the price of 1.
Yeah, but who wants 2 William Rikers?
Come here.
No, Daddy, no!
No, come closer. Put your arms down. Put your arms
I
down.
don't like it. I don't.
Your mouth. Okay, so beginning. I have written 5 questions, and we have both written separate answers. So you're gonna. The microphone's behind us, which is probably pretty stupid to have anyway. But we are going to talk about our answers to these questions. Now, first off, is we're going to talk about the message of each franchise. And as you know, as all true Trekkies know, the Star Trek franchise is about hope for the future. It's about diversity, inclusion, infinite diversity, and infinite combination. It has always been trying to have a progressive message of a positive future. And it shows that through things, through its episodes, through metaphor, through allegory. Some of them just outright saying, and it's really just one of the biggest franchises for, I want to say, inspiring scientists and scientific minds to achieve things like the communicator, flip phones, like memory storage devices. They had floppy disks in the original series that weren't created for a further 30 years. We're seeing holograms now. We're seeing all kinds of transporter technology is actually starting to happen because those scientists dreamed with Star Trek. And Star Wars has a little empire being fought by the little rebels.
Well, it's more Star Wars is more about generally. It's about the how Imperial things are bad, and it's not exactly a series that's giving you the utopia immediately. It's about the road to utopia more so than anything else. It's about the little guy fighting against the terrible tyranny that is more realistic than anything that Star Trek has ever produced. Because reality is, there's an evil empire every time.
Mm.
Yeah, that's just the reality.
True,
There's
that's
always
true.
an evil empire.
Do you know what really says, like, realistic to me? Magic wizards who can move things with their hands from a distance.
You know what? You can say as you will about the Force, but as a practicing
Did you
Jedi,
bring up Will again?
Stop it! As a practicing Jedi,
Who's a practicing Jedi?
I am.
Putting your hand out and imagining things moving does not mean...
It works for me every time. I tell things to stop, and they stop.
That's because they just...
If I push a cart and I tell it stop,
Yeah.
it stops. Because
So-
I'm good. I am a good Jedi.
The first debate, the first question, is who is the best good guy? And I have picked, obviously, the GOAT, the best of the best good guys, Captain Picard.
Oh, that's an interesting choice.
Yeah, that's kind of boring, to be honest. But I tried to go a little bit around. So Captain Picard, not only is he a diplomat, he's theatrical, he's open, he stands by his friends and his convictions. He doesn't need any fucking lightsabers or magical fucking powers. He's got the dedication of his crew and all the technologies technologies he needs aboard the USS Enterprise. And not just that, the entirety of Starfleet, even at 96 years old, that fucker found himself a robot body so he could keep doing more. And whereas Luke Skywalker just decided, I'm going to project myself really far and die on the planet. Good job, Luke Skywalker. Good job for half-assing out of that war before it started again. Whereas Picard, he was in it. He was making things happen.
Well, you could
And
say
who
that.
did you choose?
You could say that as well about Obi-Wan Kenobi. He was an extremely well-formed diplomat of years of experience,
Mhm.
and he was also one of the Jedi Masters on the Jedi Council. He fought within the Clone Wars valiantly, and he tried his best to do right by all his friends. And not only that, he continued to live beyond death.
He also
Through the
failed
Force.
to kill Darth Vader twice.
Well-
So he's responsible for thousands of deaths.
How could you ask a man to kill his brother? How could you ask a man to kill the person he trained as from a
When your
child?
brother is Space Hitler, that's pretty much a good sign you should
He
kill
wasn't
them.
Space Hitler. He was more
You
Space
need to be
Goebbels
arguing
than
how
anything
bad
else.
Picard is. Can you argue that?
Can you argue how bad
Who the
Obi-Wan
fuck was
Kenobi
your
is?
good guy?
Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Oh, no, he disappeared on a planet for 10 years.
Well, he had to take a break.
This is what
After finding out your fucking best friend and your prodigy turns out to be, as you called him, Space Hitler, of course you're going to need to take a break.
Can I point out, and I'm helping his side because he's not thinking about, it's a debate. You're meant to be making Picard look bad. Picard was on a planet.
How can I make Picard look bad? Let's be honest, Picard's a great guy.
He
I'm
went to
going
a
to say that
fucking-
straight away.
He abandoned Starfleet because they didn't do what he wanted and lived on his winery for a decade and a half.
So he did the same thing that Obi-Wan Kenobi did.
Yes, I'm helping you with your argument because you weren't arguing that point.
So let's just be fair. What character was created first? Obi-Wan Kenobi or Picard?
He was in 5 minutes of A New Hope. And then he went, and then he just popped up occasionally.
Hmm.
Alec Guinness hated
So-
working as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
So the model for Picard is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Let's just be fair about that.
They are very different people. Very different. Anyway, that's our debate for the best good guys. I
Is it
feel like
really?
I feel
don't
like
think so.
because
I don't think so because like Picard has a lot of problems. Like, it's not over yet. That's too short.
Can I point out that at least Picard, while he was on the Enterprise, yes, he has a lot of problems, but he was so emotionally connected that he had a counselor on the bridge to help him through those problems. Obi-Wan went and lived
So
in
he
the
was a bit
sand
emotional.
and spied on a 10-year-old boy.
So he was emotional. Is that what you're saying? Picard
Yeah,
was overly
Picard was a
emotional?
badass.
So he was too emotional.
No, he wasn't emotional because he had a counselor there to help him through the
You know
hard
who
things.
wasn't emotional? Obi-Wan Kenobi, because from a Jedi, from a young age, he was taught emotions are bad.
You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you. Yeah, that sounds unemotional to me.
Well, love is
In the Obi-Wan series, it's my fault. Oh, then my friend is truly dead. Don't fucking argue this shit with me, boy.
Okay, calm down. Let's just be real. Like, Obi-Wan is ostensibly a character that fights for justice. He
Does he
fought
fight
for justice over and over again. He fought to liberate thousands of worlds,
Mhm.
and he fought for his beliefs, and he
Picard
fought from
saved
to the death.
hundreds of worlds. He made the
Just
universe
hundreds.
better. He didn't allow the Sith to grow in the Republic.
Well, you know what? Obi-Wan also tried his best. He did. He tried his goddamn best. He did his best, and you know what? He ended up with another
Okay.
prodigy
Okay,
that
okay,
did
okay,
fix
okay.
everything that went wrong.
Another prodigy. He trained the dude for 5 minutes. Yoda put in more work.
You know what? He did it through
Anyway.
the Force.
Anyway, next topic, mate. We can't discuss that for the entire video.
Okay.
This is the best bad guy. You can go first this time.
I can go first this time. It's Thrawn. Easily Thrawn. Think about it. Thrawn is a utterly sadistic and calculated general of the Imperial Navy. He's obsessed with understanding his enemy to the point where he goes after their relics of native populations so he can know exactly how to destroy them and how to get to their core and eliminate them. Thrawn is pure evil.
Is that it?
Go.
You done now?
Yeah, you're gonna.
I picked the Borg Queen. I was going to pick Khan, but then I thought, no. Who had the Empire and who had the power? Not only is the Borg Queen not essentially the same person or thing in the Borg Collective, she controls millions of drones. Absolutely. They are oncoming storm. They assimilate people into their collective. People become the Borg. People don't become Thrawn's worshippers unless they were already in the Empire. Like the little Empire bitches they were. The Borg Queen can be manipulative, sexual for some reason. And she can use personal tactics or brute force. The Borg would wipe out everyone in the Star Wars universe in a fraction of time it would take Thrawn to get from one galaxy to the next.
You know what? He did go from one galaxy to the next.
Yeah, and Ahsoka season 2 will see that he loses.
Well, probably because that's just like narratively
And-
that's going to make more sense.
Can
Just like the Borg Queen continuously loses,
does she?
even to an old man that has to use a robot body.
Does she?
Yes.
She lost to Janeway. The only reason Picard defeated the Borg Queen is because Janeway kicked her ass. But anyway,
Janeway is badass.
yeah, why do I keep arguing your points? Can I and a caveat to your fucking Thrawn nonsense? 95% of what you know about Thrawn is through beta canon books.
Beta canon.
Yeah, it's not real
Oh.
canon unless it's in the shows and movies at all.
Oh.
And even if Disney
But he
says
is.
it is,
He is. He's in the Clone Wars. He's not so much in the Clone Wars. He's not in Clone Wars at all. But he's in the Rebels TV series. He's in Ahsoka.
is he?
He's mentioned
That one
throughout
episode he's in
Mandalorian.
Ahsoka? Is he?
Yeah, he's mentioned. I'm pretty sure he's mentioned.
The Borg Queen came back and fucking killed everyone. Took
Yeah,
Picard's son.
Yeah, but she doesn't really calculate.
I would say the
everything.
Borg are just have all bases covered. I don't think Thrawn.
That's a
does.
fraction, though. You're pulling out a faction. Like, if I was to turn around and say, like, the Imperial Navy wouldn't be able to defeat the Borg, come now.
They wouldn't be able to.
A woman and an old man beat the fucking Borg. Of
Yeah, but
course.
Star Wars doesn't use
That's singular. That's a singular ship at each point.
Star Wars
Like,
doesn't
Star Wars
use
would
intelligence.
fucking-
They use brute force.
You know what? They wouldn't just use brute force.
They would.
Yes, they would
100%.
use
And
intelligence.
when brute force didn't work, they send in a
Fucking
fucking Jedi.
Thrawn would have fucking calculated and worked out exactly how to destroy the Borg utterly and eliminate them from ever existing.
You're very passionate about this. But guess what? We need to move on to the next topic. The next topic is the best ship. I'm going to go first because you've got something obscure which I know nothing about, so I don't care. Although, to be fair, my pick is the Titan A. No, the Titan, not the Titan A. The Titan, the original Titan, captained by William T. Riker himself.
Didn't that crash?
No. No, it didn't. Originally created by a fan in the books.
In Beta Canon.
No, because it got made canon in Lower Decks.
Oh,
You've seen the Titan in Lower Decks.
In the Lower Decks.
Lower Decks is canon.
Yeah, and Thrawn is.
And if you say otherwise, fuck you. So the Titan A, from all descriptions of it, has the most diverse crew of any Starfleet ship. 80% of the crew is non-human. There's descriptions in the books and in the things that they have, like everything is designed so multiple life forms can work there at a time. They obviously have the cetacean observations, like the Enterprise D did. And the Titan A had some great, like, casters. Like, there was... I can't even think of them because they're all alien names. But yeah, like, they had people who live in water, people who live on desert planets, people who live on low oxygen. It was...
Is that why they had a dolphin
interesting to
deck?
see. Yeah, cetacean observations, babe. You don't want to work on a ship with a motherfucking dolphin?
We must eliminate the dolphins.
No, dolphins and whales are really important in the Star
They're
Trek
a threat to our
universe.
species.
Mhm. Yeah, whereas in your species, the biggest threat is a fat slug who happens to be a gangster but can barely move.
Right.
But
So-
no, the
You're not
Titan A is the best starship because it is faster than any Star Wars ship. It is better looking than any
It's
Star Wars ship.
faster?
Yeah, well, it's faster
faster.
in the fact that
You want to
Star
talk about
Wars ships
warp
don't
speed?
have a reliable speed. No, we're not. Although
Yeah,
we
we just pull out random numbers.
we
of
should
warp
have
speed.
added best technology, but we're not going to because this is already too long.
Is it?
I don't know how long my back.
You know, I haven't even revealed my ship yet.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Okay, go.
Yeah, he forgot to allow me to reveal what
I
ship
don't
I'm
care.
choosing.
It's a Star
You know
Trek YouTube channel. I know who's going to win.
Well, it's as simple as this. I am choosing the Jedi Starfighter Mark II, or otherwise known as the Jedi Interceptor, which is an elegant ship. You see it first in the first scenes of Episode 3 if you don't know what you're looking for. That's the one I'm talking about. It is elegant.
What,
It
the
is-
little tiny ship that flies
It is
that
so
Obi-Wan
cool.
and Anakin are flying?
Come on, it is a cool ship. It is a cool looking ship. It's fucking beautiful. It's elegant, and everything about the Jedi's ships and the Jedi in general, everything they do is just elegant.
Okay, so
It isn't about technology and using your phases and stuff like that. It's about being personal.
well, of
getting
course
up
you're going to
and
say that.
close.
Your ship is
You don't
literally a
have-
glorified shuttle.
In a Jedi fighter, you don't have all your fancy technology and all that. You just have a man and a machine working as one.
Well, technically, it's a man, a machine, and a half-sentient machine. 'Cause they have
They're only
droids.
there to repair the ship. They're not actually.
Are
doing
they? It feels like they were sort of half piloting in episode 3.
No, they weren't. They were just repairing the ship, doing things
So-
that the Jedi's couldn't.
Okay, so here's our brief discussion. You picked virtually a gliding shuttle.
It's a fighter.
They don't have shields because fucking stupid droid dickheads or whatever fuck land on them. They're
I
fucking
would,
robots.
I would put money that between any fighter of the Starfleet versus a Jedi Starfighter or shuttle, I reckon a shuttle would be destroyed by a Jedi Starfighter. Easily.
Do you know why the shuttle would win? Not because of phasers, not because of firepower, because they have fucking shields. Whereas you have deflector shields. But what does that mean when little robots can land on your actual hull? Like,
because like, come on. Like,
one torpedo or
physical
phaser
things would be able
blast,
to
your ship would be
slowly go
gone.
through it.
Your ship would be
It's
gone.
it's just not how it works.
No, I'm sorry.
You know what?
You suck balls.
You know, yeah.
Your ship choice
so
sucks balls.
You know what? You suck balls.
For your stupid little shuttle? Oh, sorry. Your decision.
I am so annoyed right now. Jedi Starfighter is fucking cool. It looks cool.
If you say so. So now we're into the nitty gritty. I need a drink because my throat's itchy. The best TV show.
Clone Wars.
Your turn to go forward first.
It is the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars is a series that came out after all of the prequel shows to sort of tie up some loose ends and sort of explain some things that weren't particularly well explained. And it does a really good job of that. You've got new characters that pop up like Ahsoka and a bunch of other characters like Cody and stuff like that, and really humanizes the clones in general instead of just being Imperial Stormtrooper, basically beta Stormtroopers, to being people. Like they got personality and they're very dynamic and they're all individuals.
That's it. All you have to say. Because I'm bringing in the big guns. I'm bringing in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Why is it the best show? Because it has all the elements of Star Wars, but actually they focus on the building of the war and the strategy of the war. Instead of just, pew, 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 oh, we're going to fight and destroy this base. Oh, we're not going to actually think about this idea. Let's just go hyperspeed into our ship and destroy the entire movie's canon. Star Trek Deep Space Nine took all of the elements you love from Star Wars, big space battles, like crazy
Can we not
shit.
touch the Disney stuff? Like, seriously, I've tried my hardest. And I've went out of my way not to touch the Disney stuff. Can you not touch the Disney
Babe.
stuff? It is a sore point for all Star Wars fans. The Disney stuff is
it's really
ostensibly
not.
bad.
It's really not.
I know.
And there's people on here who said, yeah, Alex Kurtzman, Star Trek's bad. It's fucking not. Get over it, move on. You don't like it, don't watch it. Fuck off. Anyway.
And also, it's boring. Come on.
We're
Deep Space Nine is boring. It's slow.
No.
What was it nicknamed in the 90s? Next time on Deep Space Nine. Or last time on Deep Space
I haven't
Nine.
even finished talking about it yet. No, did I finish talking about it?
You did. You introduced them into the debate.
Anyway, no, but Deep Space Nine, the difference with Deep Space Nine is the beginning of the show still has relevance at the end of the show. The stories go in so many different ways with so much building. Everything builds upon each other. Clone Wars took a little while to actually sort of find its feet. Deep Space Nine did too, but Clone Wars was boring as shit. Ahsoka was a bad character. It took a lot to make her a better character. You even look at the interviews with beardy guy who runs Star Wars now, one of. And he talks about how Ahsoka was like a really bad character in the beginning, and it was only through love from him that they built Ahsoka to be a good character. They had entire episodes that were just sort of stupid and a bit flippy floppy. Like, sure, it got good. Later on, it got good. Deep Space Nine, in 7 years, took everything they started with and they expanded on it. No matter how bad it was, they expanded on it. Jake Sisko becomes a fucking journalist for the war. Like, they built on everything.
I understand what you're saying, but the same can be said about the Clone Wars. Clone Wars did have a continuous story, overarching story, but that overarching story, you didn't need to know 10 episodes before what was going on to be able to just jump in and enjoy an episode.
But that's because you know why? It's made for kids.
Well, yeah, it
Deep
was.
Space Nine, strong story that continued on, built suspense, tension.
Yeah,
Star Wars is like, when are we going to reach the beginning of
I'm not
episode 3?
deny it, but to be honest, like, if a child can't understand your concepts, then why make it?
Because sometimes, kid, you need to watch something more adult.
I don't know. Like, we can play on the platitudes of what's more adult and stuff like that.
I just brought it up because I
They're
didn't.
both pretty childish.
No,
They are.
Hold on a fucking
They are all
second.
both science fiction, which means they're both fucking childish and unrealistic, and that's just the truth. And you want to slap me right now? You know what? I'll slap you.
That wasn't hard enough.
I'm not going to slap you hard. I'm not a woman beater. Um, but anyway,
Very sexist of you.
what, saying that I'm not a woman beater?
So we're up to the second to last part. Best movie.
Episode 3. Easily episode 3. Episode 3 out of the entire series wraps things up and reveals and has some really cool space battles. It has some really good pacing. You know this to be true because we watched it last night.
We watched half of it last night.
We watched
You
it.
went to bed.
Yeah, well, you know what? We went back to episode 2. But anyway,
You went to sleep before the battle, the sword fight with Anakin and fucking Obi-Wan.
because I've watched it a million times. It's not the point. The point is that it's a brilliant film. Anyone can watch it and be like, this is a really good action film. Because that's what it was trying to be. It was meant to show you the progression of Anakin Skywalker from turning from the good side to the dark side and becoming Darth Vader. And having that gut-wrenching moment with Obi-Wan Kenobi saying goodbye to his friend. His prodigy. He's poured his heart into this person and then having it all torn from him. And you can see that in that moment that Obi-Wan is truly sad.
How does that make that a good movie?
Because it's just a good movie. It is.
Is it true that your favourite film is Attack of the Clones?
That's because it holds a special spot in my heart. But that's not the point.
The special spot is he changed his choice.
I didn't
He's
change my
pussy.
choice. It's
He
ostensibly a better movie.
He didn't have faith in Attack of the Clones.
Well, the truth is
Are
that...
you done with your...
No, the
episode
truth
3?
is episode 3 is ostensibly a better film. Like, I might have my personal beliefs on episode 2, but I don't think that it is a better film than episode 3. Episode 3 is a better film.
People may have thought I would pick Star Trek First Contact. Maybe Star Trek 4, the one with the whales.
It's Wrath of Khan, isn't it?
It's always Wrath of Khan. I'm picking the best one. Star Trek 6 is my favourite, by the way. I also chose it. But Star Trek
See, he
2
didn't have faith in his own
but
choice.
Star Trek 6 is only good because of the other stories. The only reason it has so much bite is because of Star Trek 3 and Star Trek 2 and Star Trek 4. So Star Trek 2, you have an excellent bad guy, Pedro Ricardo Montalban, who never, William Shatner and Ricardo Montalban, Kirk and Khan, never meet in the film. Never meet. It's played through view screens. The tension is built through almost like an alien quality with the little earbug things. It's like a game of chess. It's a build. That anger and hatred that Khan has for Kirk is kind of like Anakin's in a way, except for Khan, we know that his wife's been killed. All his friends have been killed on this planet because it was blown out of orbit or it's all changed. It became a desert planet. And he blames Kirk solely for that because in an episode from the 60s that had Khan the character in it, this was all set up. So not only is it a great introduction to Star Trek films, it also connects to the history of Star Trek and builds upon it. And the music is done by James Horner, who did Aliens, who did Titanic. So the music is fucking amazing. John Williams is great, but James Horner, boom, hits it.
I don't know. John Williams is just better.
And a film made on like a third or a half or a quarter of the budget that fucking the prequel movies were made on. They managed to have a submarine battle in space with spaceships with a bunch of actors who hadn't seen each other in like years. I'm really just talking about Khan and William Shatner. Like, with a new director who'd never directed a feature film before, of which resonated in other films. Like, I get that Star Wars, they were building up to Vader coming in. Whereas they didn't know when they put Khan back in how much
And
that
the
would
revelation.
resonate.
The revelation of who the Emperor was, Chancellor Palpatine, like, come on, that revelation. If you hadn't watched it...
No, hold on.
I have a serious thing about this. I've got to mention this because if you watch... I don't know if anyone has ever, like, our age wouldn't have watched it this way, but if you watch Star Wars from episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, I feel like the impact of
Did you watch
episode
Star
3
Wars that way?
I've watched it before that way, and I.
No, but did you originally watch
No,
that?
no one.
So you're
No, I told
bullshitting
you.
right now.
But I honestly believe that the impact of that moment and of episode 3 would have different feeling.
Sure, but that's not what we did.
No,
and
no.
also, I knew from the beginning he was the Emperor, not to mention the fact he sounds like the Emperor.
Well,
Nobody talks like this like Ian McDermott does. But I don't even know what to say. Wrath of Khan made Star Trek what it is today. Episode 3 told us something we wanted to know about Star Wars in the past.
yes, but there's other scenes throughout it, like Commander Cody being in it and things like that, that show that elements of Star Wars. And there's a lot of elements of Star Wars within that movie that go into the Clone Wars, that go into Rebels, that goes into Andor, goes into all of these other shows, all of these other movies, and it goes into episode 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, but
It's- It's a perfect moving on of the story, the overarching story, which is just simply larger than Star Trek's.
This brings me to the final thoughts, which is where we basically say why anyone watching should vote for us. My answer, simply, it's a Star Trek YouTube channel. If you're watching this for Star Wars shit, go and fuck yourself. I'm lying. Pick the person who's made the best points. I feel like I've made some pretty damn good points. I feel like I've nudged you to make good points at some points, but you did make good points also.
Yeah, I'm gonna say my final thoughts are that yes, I understand that Star Trek has a completely different philosophy, and it does. Its philosophy is completely different. Its philosophy isn't necessarily the same as Star Wars, but entertainment wise, for most people, Star Wars is a better series. You can't fuck with the numbers. The numbers are real. They exist. There's a reason why Star Wars, no matter what they shovel out, still does fucking good.
You don't have to be the most popular to be the most loved. Star Wars fans are generally more racist, more sexist. Like Star Trek hasn't. No, Star Trek hasn't, hands down. But Star Wars fans, they picked on fucking Jake Lloyd, who played fucking young Anakin Skywalker, Hayden Christensen. Then with the new films, they were like, we don't like Rose, we don't like Finn. Like, Star Wars fans, when they hate something, they fucking go after it. Star Trek fans do as well.
Yeah, they do. They do. So
But-
you can't, it's not really a comparison because, when you go into the extreme versions of the fandom where you get to the older fans or fans that are not able to adjust to new directions.
Of the dumb fans who don't pay attention to
Yeah,
what the
it's
fucking
the same.
franchise is
It's
about.
the exact same
But
problems. It's the
at the
exact same
same
problems
time-
between both
The
franchises.
difference being Star Trek has always been progressive, and Star Trek has always had those ideals. Star Wars, there was literally one black guy in the whole universe until the prequels, and even then, pretty sure there was only one black guy in the prequels. Not to mention the fact there was I think one or two women in the whole universe in the original trilogy, and then maybe a couple in the prequel trilogy.
There's a lot.
There was a very big disproportionate amount.
I agree with you when it comes to female
Forgot.
representation and black representation
Hmm.
in the movies. Star Wars has done a bad job. I agree with that sentiment. I understand where you're coming from, but I would say that in its ability to still be progressive, it still has a progressive idea behind it, which is imperial ideas tend to be xenophobic and racist.
Mm.
The Empire is the allegory to Nazis. It's straight
empires in general.
Yeah, but
Looking at
the
you,
Empire,
USA.
the Empire itself is an allegory to Nazis. Episode 4 was created in the idea and in the times of Vietnam, and that the rebels were, and you're rooting for, and they're based off of
We've
They're cold.
gone in a political
So-
era. I get what you're saying.
But the point is that they are progressive.
Neither franchise
They're both
is
progressive.
perfect, and the fans in particular aren't perfect.
No, they're not.
But us as fans, I think we give every piece of both franchises we watch, we give a go. If we don't like it, like I quite often don't like Star Wars TV shows because they're just not for me. I'm a Star Wars fan, but not a huge one. And he gets forced to watch all the Star Trek shows.
Yeah, I keep on trying to get him to watch Andor, and I would highly recommend you guys.
I want to watch Andor, but
It's a really, really good series. It's seriously, it's probably the best series that Disney's ever produced.
and I think. But the thing is, I acknowledge the fact that I want to watch that. But it feels like with Disney, there's so many series, and if it's
they
cancelled
oversaturate.
and if it's cancelled after one season, why the hell do I want to watch that?
Well, Andor's not been cancelled after one season. It's only got 2 seasons because it's also set in a limited time period.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. It's ostensibly
For
limited
me,
by itself.
I know with Star Trek, generally they're going to get at least a decent length. Barring Prodigy, all the other shows have got a decent length, which is 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
It's a bit enough time to build up characters, have a story,
No, I
Star
agree.
Wars, like the Acolyte, like that looked interesting. And I watched the first episode and I was a bit bored. And then I
Can we
just
not
stopped
talk about
watching
that quite? Because I was extraordinarily disappointed by that show.
it. Okay. Anyway, it had the woman girl from The Matrix and it really annoys me.
Yeah, right.
Okay, we're not going to talk. If you want to see us talk about Star Wars and Star Trek in a comparison model, we can do that. We do that pretty much all the time anyway.
It's
but-
easy for us.
Pick your questions, answer your questions by yourself. Choose who won our debate. Choose whether we should have another debate.
I don't think we're really good debaters. Like, I'm not a good debater.
I just like arguing with you.
Yeah.
It's more of an argument than a debate. I just like having
Yeah.
a good Star Trek, Star Wars argument.
Like, I am still a Star Trek fan.
Yeah.
And
I still love Star Wars.
yeah, it's
not all of Star Wars, but I still love most of it.
Yeah.
And I still love the world of Star Wars.
Yeah, it's a breathing world. That's the thing. Like,
And I think Star Trek is the same.
despite
It's,
only having 3 black guys in it.
man, it's really weird.
Or was it 4?
How many?
No, you got Saul Guerrero. Then you got.
I think the sequel trilogy had more. But
Yeah,
the
no,
original
I think,
trilogy-
I'm still thinking about the TV series.
But to
because,
be
like,
fair,
even then,
I like-
even then, it's only like 4 or 5. Like, seriously, it's not really.
America. But
Yeah.
it's the same with all of the Star Treks. They have like maybe 1, maybe 2 black guys. That's it in each series. Actually, I don't think they had
Discovery, they had a lot. Discovery was good though.
just go, yeah. In terms
Highly
of
recommend Discovery. I love it.
Okay. The debate is over.
Yeah, no, that's the reason we're recommending
Pick who
stuff.
wins. This is going to take forever to edit. So I'm pretty sure it's at like 40 minutes at this point.
That's
If
cool.
the phone hasn't stopped and we've missed everything.
Maybe.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, comment. I'll see you next time.